Nathan, did you want to jump in and maybe share a bit about the developer docs that are now available for the EOS EVM?
So for the EVM, we have a new section in the EOS Network documentation. We're currently working on making them easier to use, as well as adding a few missing guides, such as hard hat integration, though we do already have truffle integration, and there's a nice remix tutorial in there. And this is all in preparation for the EVM mainnet launch. So the docs right now are also testnet docs. We have a webinar coming out soon after the mainnet launch with a date that is to be announced, but it will also include how to get started developing apps on the EOS EVM, possibly some, actually I don't want to give too much information about that because it's still up in the air. We're not quite sure what's going to go in there yet. We'll put out an announcement about it as soon as possible. You might also notice that we released 4 new guides for EOS Native, which are also in this new update for the docs. There's a Dune guide, an accounts guide, resource guide, and a new smart contracts basics guide, which digs into everything developers need to know to get started developing on EOS. And each one of those guides will also be available as video courses on the Learn portal coming soon.
One thing to add to that is the beautiful thing about the EOS EVM is that it's fully compatible with Ethereum. There is a giant knowledge base of materials for developers and tooling and open source code, and it all just works. So that's the biggest benefit for the EOS ecosystem with the incorporation of the EOS EVM is we just inherit all of that. Similar to how other like Antelope chains can inherit the Antelope protocol that we develop. We get the benefits now of the entire Ethereum ecosystem. So that way, versus internally from Nathan's team, can focus a lot on EOS native, while developers, like Ethereum developers, they won't be lacking materials because they already exist. That's the biggest thing. Steffi did a good job of covering everything that's been published. There's still one more deep dive to come. We broke up the deep dives just because they're pretty heavy. We'll have another one that covers the architecture of the trustless bridge and the token economy. So the token burn mechanism that we've discussed before. So really diving into that and explaining it, because it's been very high level. Like everyone knows that their contract collects a fee on top of the cost of resources, but the mechanisms haven't really been detailed. So that's the final deep dive that'll come out. You also brought up the multi-chain bridge. I think that's important because that'll allow liquidity to flow into the EOS EVM very close to launch. I wouldn't even make an assumption that it'll be deployed at the day of launch. There's going to be a lag time because people need to get their stuff deployed, and the mainnet launches on a Friday.